embarking on some customer and service enhancements, and we're reaching out to the real estate professionals that use or need to talk to us to figure out what sort of problems you face in getting information from our office. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to walk you through some of the things that are happening in the office, and then I would actually like to open it up for some questions and answers or comments, about challenges that you faced. One of the things I think it's really important for you to all know is we issued 2.5 million secured property tax bills, and we have 12 agents to answer the calls from those now I'm loud. And we have 12 agents. And for most of last year, we only had 7 agents. So therein lies the problem when you're trying to call us. Oftentimes you'll get a busy signal, or you'll have to wait for an invariable long time. Especially, I think this really especially affects title companies, but I know that it also can trickle down to the realtors. Your customers will reach out to you and say, I don't understand why this happened, and they want you to explain the tax bills that they've got, or when they're going to get them, or what's going on. So there's a couple of things that are happening. We're actually going to be adding a page to our website called New Property Owners that will give new property owners a really good overview of the tax process, and I'm really trying to develop really good language to explain supplemental bills so that they understand supplemental bills, because even it takes me a while to get people that work for me to understand supplemental bills, never mind people that have never owned property before. And then not to mention the fact that if they buy the house in the summer, they won't even get the annual bill. And that's a problem. People just don't understand it. They think that everything is going to happen like this, and as you know, it doesn't. And by the way, it doesn't happen like that in any county. It's just the process under the California Revenue and Taxation Code. So what we're doing is we're trying to enhance our website. That also includes, we're going to be putting mobile home tax clearances online. That's, I don't know how often that affects the majority of the realtors here, but that may be good news to some of the title and escrow folks in the room. So we're doing that. We're also updating our property tax phone system. We're revamping our whole system so that our call tree is smaller and more condensed. And then what we're trying to do is move the professional callers off of our call tree. We're establishing an email account and some forms so that if you need some information on property, you can actually email us at 11 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Tell us what you want, and we'll respond back to you in 3 days. So you don't have to call us. So those are some of the things that we're working on, and I'm very excited about it. I'm also attempting to reach out to all the associations in the Los Angeles County and tell them about some of the things we're working on, and then get your input on some things you'd like to see us do to make your, doing your job a little bit easier. So does anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like me to know about? Does anybody have any suggestions? Yes?
Is there any chance that we could print a current tax bill online?
When we get a new property tax system, our property tax system is a mainframe system, and our cashiering system uses a scan line. So there isn't any way to, if you print out a bill, it's not usable, or banking and remittance section can't use it. That's the problem. That's why you can't print the bill online. But one of the things we are doing is with the revamping of our phone system, we're updating our request for substitute bill line and automating that. So when you call in for a substitute tax bill, the request will be downloaded to our printers, who will print a bill, and hopefully, the idea is that the bill will go out quicker. It also will free up staff time, because, sometimes you would be amazed with large government how antiquated some of our systems are because we're so big, and it's just hard to update them. So now when you actually call and ask for a substitute tax bill, you're actually just leaving us a voice message that we have to listen to, write down, transcribe, then print the bill, then put it in an envelope and mail it. And that sounds really simple unless you have 10,000 phone calls. You know, then it becomes quite a problem. So we are working on that, and boy, I can't wait until somebody can print a bill online. I'm right there with you. And within one of the main objectives that the county is doing right now is to upgrade all of our legacy systems, that the county is moving towards that. I know the assessor does a lot of public outreach, and they're working to update their legacy system. I don't know if you've seen what they've done with maps and the GIS, but it's pretty cool. And they're moving forward to update their system, and we're moving forward to try to update our system. It's, we're waiting, you know, it's hard to find, it's bigger than a bread box for sure to update our system. And what we hope to do is be moving towards updating our property tax system within the next 5 years. So it's on the horizon. It's just going to take a little longer than I would like it. And that would include, you know, automating a lot of processes that today are not automated. Yes?
Does the LA County has field offices, just as the assessors has an office right here in South Del Monte? Does the tax collector have field offices throughout the county?
We don't. We do open up an office for a couple days around December 10th and April 10th in Lancaster for the North County residents, but we don't. You know, the nature of tax collection isn't that we're going out in the field. You know, it's we're issuing bills.
The general public pays, and sometimes they like to do it in person.
Right. Well, my comment to that is save money, save time, pay online. I want, you know, really, paying online is the easiest thing to do. It's the best thing to do. And it's important for you to understand that taxpayers that pay, now if you pay in person, you have to be in the office. We have to have your payment by 5 p.m. on December 10th. You pay online, you have until 11:59 at night. So you have more time. You need your PIN number from the original bill, and you need your PIN number because that's a notcher rule. That's why there's a requirement that when you have a transaction that's on the internet via ACH, that you have to have a shared secret. And that's why we have a PIN requirement. Yes?
Could you give us some information on your liquidation of properties when you take it, when the county?
On our tax sales?
Yeah.
Sure.
When you resell.
Currently, right now, we have a public auction once a year in October. It's held at the Fairplex. It includes all of the recent properties that became subject to power to sell. We just had one October 19th and 20th. Then this year, we implemented for the very first time the vacant land that isn't sold at the public auction. We re-offered on a website called bidforassets.com, and that auction just ended yesterday. We brought 300, and right now it's only dedicated to vacant land. Then we also have what's called our B auction, which is properties that have previously been auctioned before. And that we haven't set that exact date. It will be sometime in late spring, probably in May. Excuse me. And it will also be on bidforassets.com, an internet auction. And then we've recently implemented, I don't know if you guys are familiar with what's called a sealed bid auction. And this is really a good information for realtors to know. If you have a new client who purchases a piece of property and there's a small sliver next to their property that, you know, maybe it's tax defaulted, maybe it isn't. You know, that's the first thing, you have to know if it's tax defaulted. But with a sealed bid sale, what the tax collector has the power to do is to offer properties that are unusable by their size, condition, or some other kind of condition. Typically, it's slivers and landlocked properties. And we can offer it, if it's tax defaulted, to the contiguous property owners. And what we do is we have a sale once a year. It's an awful lot of manual work because we have to notify all the contiguous property owners, and we actually send them, you know, parcel maps that says, oh, excuse me, your property's here, the property we're selling is here, so that they understand what we're doing. And we send them an invitation to bid. And these are typically properties that have been tax defaulted for quite some time because they're not usable, except for maybe the surrounding property owners. And currently we're starting the minimum bid on those at $100. They've been offered for sale before. Usually they're not, somebody, a lot of times it's just a small sliver. It would make somebody's backyard bigger or their side yard bigger. So if you have some customers that have property like that, please give us a call. Let us know that you would like that piece of property to be put in a sealed bid auction. We just had our sealed bid auction on Tuesday. So, guess I should have come last month. But we do have the sealed bid sale once a year. So if there is property that that it seems conducive to that, it's tax defaulted, subject to power to sell, and it is definitely unusable like a small sliver, we will put it in our sealed bid sale and send invitations to all the surrounding property owners and let them know that they're more than welcome to submit a bid. And the bids are all sealed. We can't tell anybody if we have bids. And on the day of the auction, which is open to the public, we open up all the bids and read them and determine who is the successful bidder. It's about cleaning up the tax roll and bringing properties back to current tax paying status. Tax sales really aren't about how much money we can make. It's completely different than any other kind of property auction. It's about bringing the properties back onto tax paying status, and it's not about how much money we can make. Our goal is to collect our taxes. But if the property's been offered before, we have the authority to offer the property at a reduced rate. And typically what we do with the A auction is the properties are all offered for the minimum bid plus the cost of our sale, which is currently $975, unless we have to do a personal contact, and then it's $1,125. Now, the personal contact, I think that's really important for you guys to know, especially since you're out there talking to people. If a primary homeowner, if their property is tax defaulted, we take an awful lot of steps to protect that homeowner. We send out the sheriff who posts a note and hopefully talks to the people. We also send out adult protective services, and we send out consumer affairs. And if necessary, we will submit a referral to the public guardian. We don't want to sell grandma's house. That's the idea. We want to make sure that people understand what's happening with their taxes and what their options are. We send them information about reverse mortgages and other options that they can do. Now that I'm on the subject of seniors, the other thing that's kind of exciting is that Governor Brown recently just signed a new version of property tax postponement. I don't know if any of you know what that is. Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay. It's a new version, and we're working out the procedures with the state controller's office. We're participating in a committee with other California counties because the goal is we want the procedures to be the same statewide. One of the disappointing things about the new program is it won't pay defaulted taxes, but it does allow the tax collector to initiate resolutions and ordinances, if approved by our board, to delay the sale of taxes at auction. So, it's very new, and we're still just exploring what our options and what our policy options are.
What's the age?
You have to be 62, blind, or 62, blind or disabled.
Thank you.
So, and you have to hit a minimum income of, maximum income, of $35,500. You have to have 40% equity in your property, and the state controller cannot start taking applications until January of 2016. But if you know somebody that's eligible for this, we are taking down names and gathering information.
On spouses, only one would qualify to the 62 age if the other spouse is younger?
That's a question for the state controller. I don't know the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
How often does the seal bid take place?
Once a year.
In October?
Well, this year we did it in November. historically, we always had our A sale, which is the newly defaulted properties in February, and our B sale, which is the properties that have been offered before and didn't sell in August. And what we're probably gonna be moving towards is going back to that and then having our sealed bid sale in June, I think. But it's always posted on our website. You can also email us and get put on a list, and we'll notify you when an upcoming auction is. But I would caution you, you have to, it's, why is property tax defaulted? Buyer beware, the property is sold as is, and don't believe those infomercials. You will not be rich from buying property at tax sales. There's usually a reason why somebody doesn't want the property. Occasionally it's because somebody passed away and the family's arguing over who's going to pay the taxes and who the owner is going to be. But quite frequently it's because there's a problem with the property, and we don't know, we don't investigate it, and because we can't. We're not realtors. Like I said, our purpose is not to sell the property. Our purpose is to get the property back to tax paying status. So make sure, buyer beware. Our terms and conditions spell out all of the conditions of the sale, and it's very, very important to read those. Boy, I have horror stories. I'll tell you one if I have a minute. Okay, so there's this property with this address. I don't remember the address particularly. Let's just say it was 405 something I think it was in Malibu. And so the prospective purchaser went to the property, and the legal description said condominium, which is quite frequently, as I think all of you know, can be a garage or parking space, right? So the legal description said condominium, it said 400 square feet. So the person went to the property, they saw it was this really nice condo, and they couldn't believe that the opening bid was like $8,000. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's too good to be true. So they paid their $5,000 deposit, and then they went to the property and they knocked on the door, and the person said, this isn't my property, it's the garage over there. I don't want the garage. So they, I think the bid, what happens in a public auction is kind of funny, or even on an online auction, there's this bidding frenzy and people think, oh, they must know something I don't know. And suddenly people start bidding. So anyway, I told them you have two choices. You can walk away from your $5,000 deposit, or you can pay your purchase price and,
Pay taxes, start paying taxes.
And use the garage. Another time there was a small, I have to tell you guys this story, one more story. There's a curb, a street, a curb, a strip of dirt, a sidewalk, a commercial building. The address, there wasn't really an address, but no wait, there was a mailing address, which was the commercial property behind the strip. This was literally that strip of property between the curb and the sidewalk. And again, somebody thought something was too good to be true, right? They didn't do their due diligence. So we have our auction on 2 days a week, Monday and Tuesday. So the auction was on Monday, and somebody bought this property. Now I would like to add, with the advent of GIS and how advanced it's become, we're really working on not putting these types of property in our public auctions and putting them on our sealed bid auction. But sometimes they get in because we start with so many properties. So Tuesday, a couple with a realtor walked up to me and they said, we need to speak with you. We have a terrible situation. So apparently the wife had bought this strip of property, and I think it was for $90,000, and had put down a $9,000 deposit, and had realized after buying it that it was a strip, this little strip of dirt. So I told them, I said, there's two things you can do and one thing you must do. Because realtor with them was trying to help them understand, transactions, real estate transactions. And she said, they're going to get a divorce, they're all upset, can't you cancel this? Like, no, we can't cancel it. Our contract, our terms and conditions say we can't cancel it. And as, you know, if you start canceling contracts, what good is the contract? I mean, obviously, you can't cancel it. So the realtor was there to try to help him, and I don't blame her, I would have tried to help him. The wife was, you know, teary-eyed, and the husband, you could see steam coming out of his ears. So I said, there's two things you can do and one thing you must do. And I told him my spiel. You walk away from the deposit, you pay, you know, you complete the purchase, those are your two choices. And they said, well, what is it that we must do? And I said, you must forgive each other. I mean, seriously, you know, you made a horrible mistake. But so I would just caution you, if it seems too good to be true, it is. You know, I have other stories where they were convinced it was a duplex because they went and visited the property at night. Well, they were looking at the neighbor's house. The duplex had burned down. There was no duplex. So they paid for an improved property and it was vacant land. So if you participate or if you know somebody that participates, be careful. Investigate before you buy and read our terms and conditions. Anyway, I love telling those stories. Thank you for laughing. Does anybody have any other questions?
More stories.
Oh.
More stories.
No, that's okay. Anyway, yes.
I know you have that new system where you pay online,
Mhm.
but my experience has that for 2 times has not been positive.
Pardon?
My experience with paying online has not been positive. And now I'm resorting back to putting it in mail.
What happened?
It's just the response I get back to whether or not my bill has been accepted, my payment stuff is too late. By the time I got that response, I'm already overdue. So is anything made to facilitate this payment online?
Well, when you say response back, what do you mean?
I paid it. I said, entered information on it, and apparently I didn't do it right. 2 weeks later, it comes back and said, hey, you didn't pay your bill.
Yeah, because we probably didn't, we try to notify people as soon as we're notified by the bank that there's a problem, but you have to remember, you're out there with 2.5 million people, and it's not automatic. It's not, or as one programmer I really like to quote says, it's not automagical. There's somebody that actually has to figure out that your payment has to be returned, and then and then it shows up in our system, and somebody looks at it and types an email to you, literally.
Therefore, my suggestion is don't pay $11.59 the day before, but $11.59 three weeks before.
Well, before I moved to Los Angeles, I worked in a small county up north, way up north, Lassen County, if any of you have ever heard of it. But yes, it is. We have 33,000 people in the county. Now so what I say is I used to drive a small powerboat, now I drive a battleship. Which is hard to turn and hard to update, which would explain part of our problem. One of the major problems people make with paying online is they use the deposit slip routing number versus their check routing number, and that's different. And your payment will not go through. And we have verbiage on the website that says, don't do that, but still people do it. And I'm guilty. How often are we clicking and then realizing that we passed a page and didn't read something? I mean, we're all doing that. We're all in a hurry. So that could be it. But what I was going to say is now I have an impound account because down here in Los Angeles County, everything's a lot more money. So I'd rather have my bank pay my taxes. But when I was in Lassen, I didn't have an impound account, and I worked in the office, and I paid my taxes on December 1st. You never know. The taxes are actually due November 1st and delinquent December 10th. And why wait? I don't understand why people wait, especially in this high interest that we're all getting on our checking account.
I believe that's part of education, ma'am, that it should clearly say that.
Yeah.
And everybody says taxes are, I know that that's a delinquent day, but the general public, if you were to ask a group of 100 people, 99 will say taxes are on the December 10th.
Actually, I would tell you 75 would say they're due on the 10th, and the rest of them, 25, would say April 15th.
Part of your outreach as an education to the general public.
Right. No, and we're working on our like I said, working on updating our website. And
Or on the bill,
yeah,
in bigger letters.
yeah. Yeah?
Are all the banks can't pay the property tax correctly because my checking account bank, they said don't pay the tax by internet. I don't know.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. That's a very good point for everyone to know. Your online home banking will tell you not to, most of them, Wells Fargo I know does, there's somebody here from Wells Fargo, and Chase does, and they tell you not to pay your property or your local taxes from home banking, and they tell you that for a very good reason. The reason is, they mail a check, right? You will tell them, you'll log into your home banking and say, make this payment by December 10th, right? Like we all do with our power bill, our Macy's bill, whatever. When your online banking, your home banking is making a ton of payments to, to Macy's, they just send an ACH and they don't send a check. We have some relationships with some of the banks, and some of the banks send us a wire. But if they cut you a check, you can usually tell, because when you go online, they're either going to pay it right away or they'll tell you that it'll take 5 days. When they tell you it's going to take 5 days, it means they're going to cut a check. When they cut a check, they will send that check in a permitted mail envelope, and it won't be postmarked. So it's not postmarked. So if your online payment arrives in our office after December 10th and it's not postmarked, by law, it's late. Don't pay your taxes with your home banking unless you're paying them early, way early. I saw a hand. Yes.
Just want to touch up on that little disclosure on the internet, because I've seen it many of times. I think what he's talking about, just to clarify, it says do not pay your income tax, not the property tax.
Yeah, but it's not.
Not the income tax is what says do not pay it online.
And I know that some of them also don't pay your local taxes. It might say local and federal or taxes.
The only thing that you need to do when you have automatic payment from your account, every year you have to modify the last digits, I think the 3 last digits on the account, that's it.
And what that is, I think is that we have our assessor ID number, and then the last digits are the tax year. Just to let you know. Any other questions? Yes. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's not related to property tax payment, but on the CAR, I saw a law, it says that if you're 65 and over, that there's a discount to school tax. Is that?
There's a discount?
For, they assess you for school tax for, each community. So.
No, I think I know what you're talking about. There is not a discount on your ad valorem taxes if you're older or if you're an employee of the county. Anyway, I'm teasing. What I think you're talking about is there are some direct assessments where the agency that's imposing that fee offers discounts, for certain types of payments. I remember there was some sort of it was a fire fee or something in Malibu that they offered a discount to seniors for their primary, if that was their primary residence. That must have been about a direct assessment, because there isn't a discount on your property taxes unless you're. Of course, there will be the property tax postponement if you meet certain income and equity requirements in the next year or two. Okay. Well, thank you guys. I've really enjoyed it. I hope I can